Hello, folks. Yeah, this is all about drawing the hand gestures with as many details as we could give. So basically, we have to because this is the outlines or the structure of hands is a bit complicated. I would wanted to tell you how this complicated structure can be built or seen in terms of simple geometrical shapes and then drawn accordingly. So here is the outline that I am trying to draw. So here is the shape of the figure of the hand that I am drawing. Okay. This is a general way of splitting things when it comes to drawing hand gestures. It's very complicated. So once this outlines are the geometrical shapes are properly drawn, then we'll have to split all the shapes accordingly. We have to draw the shapes accordingly. You might wanted to change many things. That's fine. It's just an outline so that you don't get derailed of the shape. Once you are happy with the outline, only then start blending. Until then, blending is not advisable to start. Don't get into too many details as of now. Just make sure that your the folds of the fingers, knuckles are properly drawn according to the proportions. Because if the proportions go wrong, then there is no meaning of, even if you are really good at blending and if you are able to draw, it doesn't make any sense. See, this is a farther finger, so it might look little small when it comes to the finger here because it looks little bulgier or thick. It is because it is closer to the eye. So all this chemistry or the signs, I would say, needs to be understood correctly even before proceeding further. So if you closely observe, this little finger might look little bulgier than this finger. Why? Because we are able to see one and two facets of the finger. So that is the reason. So you will have to understand these things before you call it done. The outline is successful and you feel like you are ready to go ahead with the outlines. Blending. So the outlines need to be perfect. Now you can probably use again, this could be little bulgier. As you work on the outlines, you will get so many ideas, or the way that you draft your outline, you draw your outline will be pretty much accurate as and when you proceed further with each and every contour. That is called the experience. This is how the contour needs to be drawn, the outline or the contour. Now, since we are good to go, we are good with the outline, we are good to go with the blending. So now when you see the finger, this only pointing finger, let's focus only on the pointing finger. If you closely observe, this uh, particular finger actually has two facets, 1 and 2. That means it is round like this. So it is basically a cylinder. Okay, when you are actually working on cylinder, you should make sure that it looks like cylinder. So this is one facet, the other facet is this one. So you need to make sure that it is blending. I mean, all the skin tissues are supposed to be done in such a way that it has to flow along with the tissues of the farm. So here the tissues of the farm are like this, and here it is like this. Okay, now when you are observing here, you have fine lines. So as I told you, the pencil lines create scar on the paper. So you are not supposed to create a pencil line like this, but in fact you should create it like this. So it looks like a line, but this is a scar. This is a line which is being done with the help of brush stroke, or like several number of strokes on the same line will actually give you that fold, the crease. Now let's focus. So here there are a couple of highlights. So don't draw anything on that particular area. The rest of the things you can focus on. So here if you closely observe, understand, when you are opening your finger, opening like this, you will see horizontal lines, creases. When you are folding, you will see vertical creases. And whenever you are folding, you are able to see vertical creases. When you are opening, you will see horizontal creases. So you will have to understand how the fingers are actually showing up here in your work, whether it is horizontal ones or vertical ones. Here they are open, the finger is open, so you are supposed to work along with the horizontal areas, horizontal creases. And whenever you are working, give a little tint to the, see, that's the moon, this is the moon, and you are leaving little highlight here. That's it. And when you don't blend this, it doesn't come up as a cuticle. So it has to come up as a cuticle. So remember, these small details will actually bring life to your work. shapes are like I don't say it's very tough. Only thing is you need to practice with lots of still life shapes. That's the reason lot of artists consider when you are getting into portraits, it's like PhD. So in order to pass PhD, you need to get well versed with the you have a basic degree. So that basic degree is like practicing lots of still lifes and getting the shapes and contours. Absolutely right. There is no waivership whenever you are actually working on still lifes. If that kind of discountedness is lacking in your mind, then you will get the shapes right. If you feel like it is okay, theek hai, chalo, I mean, like we have done it to a good extent, it is really good, then it doesn't really work out. It depends upon how critically you are analyzing your works and you are not happy with your work. In the sense, genuinely, you should not feel happy with your work, each and every work. You should criticize in a like constructive criticism. What I am trying to say is you should criticize in such a way that if it is being looked by 100 visitors, you should criticize your work probably 150 times. Only then you should be able to exhibit it to a couple of people. And if I would generally, this is the scenario, but I would go ahead and say that criticize it 500 times or even more than that, so that you will be ready to exhibit in thousands of visitors gallery. That's how you should be able to progress your work. So you should be able to confidently exhibit in such kind of bigger platforms. In order to get to that stage, we are supposed to deliver some quality work. So make a note of all the midtones, okay, and remember to draw from the darker areas to the lighter areas. Why? A lot of people might have got this question in your mind, why? The point is, here we are drawing on a white paper, okay. How much a whiter can be white? Please ask yourself. But how much dark can be a darker tone? It depends upon the darkness of the pencil that you are using. I mean, the darkest grade of the pencil that you are using can define. It could be 2B, it could be HB. The one that I am using is HB. It could be 2B, it could be 3B, 4B, 5B, 6B, 7B, 8B, 9B, 10B, 11B, 12B, carbons, charcoals. Charcoals also you have a lot of grades. So it depends upon what kind of darkness you want it. So if you decide the degree of darkness in your work, then your job becomes easy. So leave the white spaces as is and draw the darker tones with the help of the lesser darker pencil like HB. So when you are comfortable using HB and you better decide on the when you have a better idea on the darker or lighter areas, then it will be easy for you to work with darker tones and leave the white as is. The white can be 5H, 6H, 4H, 2H or white paper as is. It cannot be more whiter than white paper as is, because you might not wanted to use any other mixed media. If you wanted to use any other mixed media, of course you will have other options like you can use acrylic colors like titanium white in your projects, not on these rough sketchbooks, but you can use titanium white or you can use gel pens and all that stuff. A lot of people you can see using all this stuff, but as in when it comes to pure traditional form of art like this, I will definitely not advise anybody to use, I mean my students, I will not advise anyone to use anything except the white charcoal. White charcoal or white paper as is should be enough. It should basically elevate, and your work should be done in such a way that the naturalistic pencils, the naturalistic scales that a pencil can deliver should be able to attribute to the beauty of your work. That's it. You don't have to use any extraneous put an extraneous efforts to get it highlighted. All those things are like you are trying to enhance it using your soft tricks. I mean, I feel so, because this is traditional form of art that we are actually trying to learn, understand all these gray scales. It's just because we are only using pencils. It could be graphite pencil, carbon pencil, charcoal pencil, and please understand, there is only one charcoal, one white pencil, which is charcoal pencil. There is no graphite. You can also have pastel based pencils, pastel pencils. That is also okay. I don't deny the fact of using it or something like that, but I would prefer to use only maximum white charcoal. But if I am working with charcoal pencil, black charcoal pencil, but I am right now working with graphite, so better you use graphite itself and do not ever rely upon any other things. That is my way of dealing the things in the graphite realism. It's up to you. Whatever I have been teaching so far and have been following, I don't teach anything which I don't follow. So whatever I am following it, and whatever the results I experience in my experiments with these kind of pencils or different kinds of papers, I keep suggesting the same thing to my thousands of my kids, my students who are learning from. So it depends upon your interest. And the thing that I keep saying to a lot of my students is, whenever I say don't use, you try using them and see. Only then you will be able to appreciate the teacher's efforts. Why did the teacher say not to use it? Why did the teacher advise you not to use it? If you have any bitter experience, you will learn. If you have any good experience, that's well and good. You have got a new way to basically deal with your own materials. It's well and good. It's nothing wrong. But at the end of the day, the whole point is learning in a better way and not wasting too much of time. Because already teachers, mentors like me, they have already experienced in their life so many things, and they have been putting so much of efforts in experimenting and trying to find it out by trial and error methods. Any teacher, for that matter, not only me, myself, any teacher, any good teacher would definitely want their children to go through the same pain that the teacher has gone through. So that is the reason we keep saying do not use, and do not use these things, do not follow those things, follow these rules, and all that kind of rules we follow, and whatever we follow, whatever we learned, we keep on saying all these things. So if you do not wanted to go ahead with all these things, you're welcome, and you can go ahead with your own gut feeling and try experiment it. If it works out, that's well and good. So now you have to be very careful whenever you are drawing the outlines. Why? Because we can easily quickly erase. It's not a big deal. Nobody will say that you are absolutely wrong, or you have spoiled it, something like that. Nothing. But the point is, the amount of confidence that you have been instilling in your own self will be little disturbed, or I would say will take a little ding when you actually try to erase it couple of times. So whenever you are drawing it, make sure that you don't spend good amount of time in drawing the outline perfect, rather erasing it number of times. So that's the formula that I follow. So what I do is, I don't use eraser as much as I can. I do not use eraser for making for correcting any of my mistakes, but I'll use it for highlighting. So here there is a highlight, there is a little bump near the cuticle that I am trying to follow it accordingly. Sometimes because I am drawing very small due to sketchbook, it is a sketchbook series I am what I'm right now drawing in is a sketchbook, a quick rough sketchbooks. I keep drawing a lot of my works. One fine day I'll try to do a video on my sketchbook thing, so that you will know what I draw, how I draw, what is the size. That this is the size, actually this is the whole size of the sketchbook. So I'll make a clear or detailed video on my sketchbook. So let's wait for it, but before that we'll try to work on this outline. So as and when you are working on this, you will have to focus on very minutest things. Why? Because these minute things will actually give you the complicated contours of the hand, the fingers. Especially in human anatomy, the complicated structures that people struggle to work is first teeth, second is fingers, hands, and in particular fingers, because they have lots of contours, and each and every contour of each and every human being is different, because it is the property of the genes, and you cannot go beyond those genes, genetical traits. Why? Because it completely changes the trait of the particular family genes. If you are changing any of the particular character of this particular hand or finger, it changes the basic character of the genes, and we are not supposed to do that. We are supposed to beautify the work, increase the beauty of the work with your own flavors, but not change the very structural changes, that you should not touch them or tweak them or change them or do it accordingly. So drawing anatomy is one of the wonderful lessons an artist will learn in his life, because all that, it's a cumulative knowledge that you have learned from different chapters in your life, like wildlife, still life, architectural diagrams, geometrical shapes that you have done initially, or any other if you are preparing yourself for NID, NAT, or any other designing courses, you will have to learn many things. Drawing, architectural stuff, cast drawing, a lot of things are there. So whenever you are actually attempting portraits, especially these kind of anatomical structures, you will have to cumulatively use all the knowledge that you have learned from various chapters into this, and this will basically test the whole lot of your knowledge that you have gained all through your years of experience, learning, education, whatever you call it as. So if you are not able to apply it properly, that means your basics or the fundamentals are not strong enough to attempt such kind of works. You will have to go back to your fundamentals. So make sure the 3D structures of the fingers are properly shown here. So that means this is the area the first facet is up to, and this is the curve and this is the second facet of the finger. Remember, there are no sharp lines of pencil that are visible once the actual work is done. Until then you might find a couple of them here and there because the blending is not yet properly done. So the highest form of knowledge is blending the pencil works without any blending tools. That means your basic pencil lines should be in such a way that they appear as shades. So here I am using my pencil itself to blend. I haven't used any blending stumps or any blending tools for that matter so far. So make a note of that. That will help you. If you basically target to that particular level, then you will be pretty much comfortable in drawing anything and everything without blending. So focus more on bringing lots of tones, grades with the help of a single pencil. The contrast needs to be properly aligned with the reference pictures that you are actually following up. That will basically help you to create the tones. See here, it was very sharp. This particular black area between two fingers was very sharp, which is actually creating a kind of a sharp line which is demarcating two fingers. But in reality, it is not a sharp line, but it is a shadow, or it is a gap between these two that should basically create some depth between two fingers. That will make the two fingers elevated and look like a 3D structures, the convex structures. So these are the small things that you need to focus on to give more depth to your work, and that will indirectly help you to bring out life or instill life into your works. So instead of leaving white paper as is, I am just touching it with my little finger, because this is just a quick sketch and it's a rough book. I mean sketch is a quick sketch and it is on sketchbook. So what I do is I generally don't use any blending stumps. In the same way, I quickly draw with the help of pencil itself. So what I do is I basically create tones or this blending at some point of time wherein I don't really have to use any blending tools, but I need to create a kind of a neutral tone. So what I would do is, in order to remove the lustrous white, I use my fingers, but I have already mentioned in my book that you are not supposed to use your fingers, because there is an oil called sebum that actually spoils. But here what I am trying to do is I am trying to avoid touching my oil using my finger, because I don't press it. I just make sure that it has a feather light touch, so that it brings a kind of little tint to the white paper. That's it, nothing more than that. And all my pencil lines, which are all very sharp, they basically blend. They don't look like pencil line, proper pencil lines. So that's the basic thought process behind using my finger. But if possible, please avoid using your fingers. Yeah, I will definitely advise at any point of time not to use not to use your finger to blend. So why am I taking so much of time? is to make sure we draw with a single pencil, we draw as realistic as possible, how much ever it is possible. Though it might take a little while, that's okay, fine, it might take a little while, but just imagine, just with one single pencil you are able to create so many tones, so many tonal values that is being created in this black and white work. So how much confidence will be instilled or boosted in you when you finish this work. That is the reason. That's one of the main reasons that I work with single pencil on my sketchbook, and the whole work is with single pencil itself, nothing. So I am marking all the darker areas so that I go right when I go to the different details. This area, now when I do it, this spot wherein I have actually created a kind of darker tone here, the edges were very sharp. Now I blended them, and when I use this, now I blended this one as well. Now it looks a tint. The tint is definitely whiter than this white paper. That is what is required, nothing much. Create some pencil lines, but the pencil lines should not look like scars on the paper. It should look like the folds. So make sure that it looks like a fold when you are done with your work. That means blend with the side of the pencil. That will actually help you to see. It was very sharp initially, now it looks blunt in the sense it is actually blending into the integral portion of the finger, and that creates a lot of difference. Make sure you note all the darker areas initially, and those darker areas when you draw with your pencil, with HB pencil, it will basically give you an idea of how much dark the darker area should be and how much light the lighter area should be. With respect to your the pencil that you are carrying in your hand, you will be able to decide it. Yeah, then you can create highlights with the help of this kneaded eraser. Once this is done, Yeah, this is okay because all these areas are vertically done, but sometimes you will have to do the horizontal lines as well. Take it slow. Even in the areas where you have a freedom to scribble, do not scribble in such a way that it looks unprofessional. So your pencil should be actually working in such a way that it always your strokes should look professional. Even if you have freedom to scribble like anything, never do that, never ever.